So it was Derby Day in North London, and the Gunners finally beginning to show traits that, hey, they are really in for the big time this year. They are ready to challenge for the ultimates. Stunning performance in front of a partisan crowd, and I think for once I've got to raise my hand and say Arsenal are really title challengers.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are, because if you follow the trend analysis, it would show you that Spurs have been terrible when they come to the Emirates, and the trend followed today. And I think that it more speaks about the inability of Spurs to rise to the occasion. I think that it speaks about the character of this Spurs team. It speaks about the influence of the manager. People have said that, oh, okay, we would expect Conte to walk in and do the magic. We would expect Conte to be the one who breaks the dark, Conte to be the one who finally lands Spurs a trophy. But I think that's on the evidence of what we saw today. Different managers, same results, same scripts. And for me, I get worried because it's not just about the results, it's about the detail in the results. I mean, the performance. I think that it was unlike anything you'd expect from a would-be champion. But credit needs to be given to Arsenal. I think that the kind of resilience they showed in the second half, I think that there are certain quarters of the Arsenal team that are growing beautifully well together. Xhaka has slowly but surely re-established himself in that 11 for Arsenal. And anytime he plays with Partey, I think there's a telepathic understanding. Bukayo Saka was excellent today. Gabriel Jesus did exactly what he's been known to do. And Saliba, he had an excellent game. But I think that this is no concluding the whole rationale that Arsenal will win the trophy eventually.
You look at the performance they put in this afternoon, and it gives you more reason to believe they could actually go on, even though you don't want to give them that play, because this is Arsenal who, playing against the Tottenham side, who have rescued more points from losing positions this season than anybody, 7 already in the games played so far. And so when Tottenham pegged them back, you'd have expected Arsenal to quell. We saw it at Old Trafford. When United pegged them back, Arsenal weren't able to take the game to them, but they look to have learned lessons from the episode at Old Trafford. They didn't leave themselves exposed. They were measured, kept stamping their throats, and I think that red card was a defining moment in that particular game. Do you think Conte took too long? Because after that red card, it looked as though Sessegnon was going to come on. Then he wanted to go for a triple change, then eventually a fourth change. By the time he had made up his mind,
the damage was caused.
Was already done.
Well, being a manager is about taking the right decisions at the right time. And yes, you speak about the fact that, yes, they collapsed when they came to Old Trafford. And even last season, Spurs were the reason why Arsenal did not play in the Champions League. That capitulation at the London Stadium, at the Spurs Stadium, sorry. I think that Arsenal have learned, but it also speaks a lot about the character of the Spurs team. I think that as much as they look fanciful on paper, they don't look the real deal. And for me, Conte and his stubbornness, his indecision. Sometimes if you're a manager, you need to make on-the-spot decisions. If you watch the game critically, you realize that Arteta was constantly making decisions. He was constantly communicating to his playing body. He was constantly making decisions when he needed to. And even when they went a man up because Spurs had the red card, you realize that he switched tactically, and he gave Arsenal the impetus to go forward the more. Because listen, oftentimes we've seen teams who have played against teams who have gone a man down and they've not put in the best effort. But I think Arsenal played with a particular mentality. They went for the broke, and at the end of the day, they pinned Spurs to the side of their park, and they got the job done. But a lot needs to be questioned about the manager Conte. And for me, this defeat, you cannot take any blame away from Conte. He was solely at the doorstep of Conte.
You think Conte may not be able to get Spurs back to the top? Would he ever be able to find that?
Well, one thing I'm sure about is that Conte cannot win the league with Spurs. No, he can't. He can't. He cannot. On the evidence of what we are seeing. Listen, David, there are going to be bigger battles going forward. Arsenal should be the least of your problems. And this is no disrespect to Arsenal. Yes, in as much as Arsenal has grown in leaps and bounds, they are not going to offer you the most sternest of opposition. And so if you cannot scale beyond this Arsenal team, I'm sorry, yes. I mean, this was a Spurs team which got a lot of good results against Liverpool and City last season. But if you look at the performance today, if you look at how they collapsed, if you look at the mentality, I'm not sure that Conte will be the man who takes Spurs to the top of the summit. I think that these are million years apart. I mean, that remains a fantasy.
That would obviously remain a fantasy, but I think Granit Xhaka deserves a lot of mention. He's a guy who often has been maligned, and his hot-headed impetuousness has been one of his Achilles heels. But this season, he looks a man different from what we've come to know him for. You look at how he's joined in attack. He seems to have found some freedom playing alongside Partey. And Arsenal look a different team when they've got that Partey Xhaka axis. Partey scored a brilliant goal, and I think for the Ghanaian faithfuls, it was mixed feelings because they expected him to be there for the big one against Brazil. Yeah. And to some extent, I think I might want to believe Otuado when he says if Partey had played, it could have been a different scenario.
I disagree though.
They lack legs in that particular game, but Arsenal, Partey, Xhaka, that combo, how long can they go? Because we know Partey's injury issues, Xhaka's indisciplinary situation. How long can Arteta get the two to be well behaved and fit for the long haul?
That has to be a dangerous combination, well behaved and then fit. I think that's quite a difficult job for Arteta to do. Anyone who has watched Xhaka would know that he's always been an excellent player. If you've ever watched Xhaka play for Switzerland, he's always been a leader in their ranks. Even when he was playing in his previous team before he joined us now, he was a leader in that rank. He's always been a leader. The issue with Xhaka, like you mentioned, has to be his temperament. And for me, sometimes if you take away a bit of responsibilities from certain players, they get the freedom to work and work better. I think that the Xhaka scenario to a large extent mirrors the Maguire scenario at Manchester United. When he was made captain of Arsenal, there was a lot of responsibility. Obviously, Arsenal has had great captains, from Gilberto Silva to Patrick Vieira to all of the Tony Adams, all of them, you understand? But I think that once those disciplinary issues came in and he had issues with supporters and they took away, there was a point in time he was nearly transfer listed, you understand? And so you take away that responsibility for him. I think that he's found joy playing again. And I think that why we are seeing the best of Xhaka now has to be about the defensive solidity of Arsenal. Because in times past, we've not seen an axis which has worked pretty well like the Saliba and Gabriel axis. I agree that Gabriel sometimes needs to also watch his head a bit. I think that sometimes he allows a bit of blood to rush through his head. But because of that stability defensively, Xhaka knows that he has the platform to go out there and cause a lot of havoc. And I think that Arsenal will be as good as the title dream continues, provided they can keep these two players fit and then well behaved.
Well, I think for Partey, it would have to be managed. Because if Arsenal going forward will need to set certain priorities.
What happened to Lokonga?
I think he's as good as good. Probably he might be content with the Europa League, a few cameos in the Carabao Cup, but Arteta would have to manage the two because we've spoken about Xhaka. He's an excellent player on a good day, but when the other side does pop up, he's not the man Arsenal wants, and he's a man that divides opinions. But I think this season, many would love to see the different Xhaka they are enjoying so far. But you look at Arsenal, next game is against Liverpool.
That's a big one.
Liverpool themselves have not been pretty much excited.
Well, on the basis of what we've seen this far, I think the Arsenal should be able to scale over the Liverpool hurdle. If
they scale past them, can we make a definite statement?
Well, I think Liverpool are playing themselves into trouble this season. They are really playing themselves into trouble. And I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but if they are not careful, they might not be in the top four. Because the amount of competition you would need to surpass or to scale over to get into the top four it's enormous, and you cannot be
too late.
you cannot be affording to drop all of these points Liverpool are dropping up. And definitely, you know, throughout these episodes, we've spoken about the defense of Liverpool, we've spoken about the defense of Liverpool, we've spoken about certain elements in their defense. I think that it will be a case of defense versus attack, and if the attack of Arsenal is anything to go by on the basis of what we've seen this season, I think that prior to this game, they have scored 17 goals.
Yes.
Now they scored 3 goals.
That's
they have
20.
scored 20 goals. You understand? It will be a case of defense versus attack. And I think that at this material time, in all departments of the game, Arsenal look to be in a better shape than Liverpool is.
If they beat them,
If they beat Liverpool, I think that within the corridors of power at Arsenal, they will start believing that this could be the year they break the
will you
dark.
start believing?
No.
Guys, let us know whether you think Arsenal have impressed you enough to earn the tag title contenders, or even perhaps could this be their year? This is Sports 101 shooting live at Focus Studios in Takoradi, Western Region, Ghana. And do well to subscribe, drop us a comment, and like the video. We need more likes.